The U.S. Sun has obtained first photos of Mike days after the passing of his beloved friend and longtime co-star, Fritz. Frank passed away on September 30th, 2 years after suffering a stroke that he unfortunately was unable to recover from. And he passed with Mike and other loved ones.
The tumultuous relationship between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz from American Pickers has long been a source of speculation. Now, after years of silence, Danielle Colby, a co-star, has finally broken her silence, confirming the rumors about this silent feud. Why is she speaking out now? Join us as we dive into the revelations of Danielle Colby about Frank Fritz. From simple beginnings to unexpected growth. The American Pickers show is about two friends finding hidden treasures in America. It's a story of passion, friendship, and a love for history. The journey began in 2010, when Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz started searching for valuable antiques in barns and antique shops. The show stood out from other reality shows because it focused on the excitement of finding treasures and learning the history of each object. The show focused on Mike, who wanted to preserve historical items, and Frank, who paid close attention to detail. They journeyed around the country, discovering hidden treasures and learning the stories behind each one. From antique motorcycles to old signs, every item they found had a unique story. The real essence of American Pickers was not only the objects themselves, but the emotional connections viewers made with these items. They weren't simply searching for things to resell, they were revealing parts of America's history. The show became very popular because of its genuine approach, which was different from other reality shows. Viewers did not just see people haggling over antiques. They witnessed history unfold through the eyes of two collectors. Mike and Frank had great chemistry, and their friendship quickly became a key aspect of the show's appeal. Their interactions, ranging from lighthearted to serious, allowed fans to see their personalities and the strong bond they had over collecting. When Mike and Frank were traveling, their friend Danielle Colby stayed in Iowa to manage the shop where they would sell their finds. Danielle was not always on camera, but she played a crucial role in the team by keeping things in order. She handled tasks like answering calls, following leads, and overseeing the shop's daily activities. Fans quickly grew fond of Danielle due to her tattoos, lively personality, and ability to stay grounded while Mike and Frank were out hunting for treasures. Initially, Danielle was not the main focus on the screen. Mike and Frank were the main attractions, cruising around in their white van, searching through people's possessions for valuable items. Danielle mainly stayed at the shop, but she played a crucial role in the operations. She would listen to the stories of their adventures, from discovering a worn-out bike to uncovering an old sign, and would assist in deciding what to do with their finds. As the show became more popular, an increasing number of individuals visited the shop, excited to meet Danielle and inquire about the team. Behind the scenes, things were more complicated than they appeared. As the show gained popularity, challenges also increased. Danielle observed signs of tension between Mike and Frank. Mike had ambitious ideas and was eager to move forward, while Frank was more cautious and focused on the smaller details. Despite their differences, they made a strong team, and Danielle often had to navigate between their opposing approaches. She was the one who kept the trio united. She supported Mike's big ideas and looked after Frank when he was tired. They had a strong trust in each other, and their small team started to expand. Danielle wasn't just an assistant, but a vital part of the close-knit group they had become. Despite some challenges, the connection between Mike, Frank, and Danielle stayed resilient. Now the question is, how was Danielle recognized as one of the important people of American Pickers? How did she rise to fame? Danielle Colby's rise through American Pickers. American Pickers was an immediate hit, and Danielle Colby was there from the beginning. Mike Wolfe spent years pitching the show idea, filming with a shaky camera, and dragging his friend Fritz along as they searched through old barns for forgotten treasures. Danielle, who managed a shop in Iowa, played a crucial behind-the-scenes role by tracking leads, handling day-to-day operations, and helping them organize their discoveries. Despite networks being hesitant about the concept of two men rummaging through old items, Mike persisted, and in 2010, the History Channel decided to give American pickers a chance. When the show first aired, 3.1 million viewers watched. Danielle was surprised. The store, once quiet for finding treasures, became busy with excitement. Fans came in droves to see where the magic happened. Suddenly, Danielle, who used to stay behind the scenes, became famous. People would spot her from the show and want pictures. She would happily give tours and show off unique items, like the old gas pump Mike discovered. It was enjoyable, but also a lot to handle. Danielle had to hire more workers to keep up with demand. The phones constantly rang with offers of collections and questions from fans about Mike and Frank. While the shop was chaotic, Mike and Frank were out on the road, exploring America and finding new treasures. They would call Danielle from different towns, eager to share their discoveries. Mike was once excited about a huge neon sign he found, while Frank was proud of an old fire extinguisher he uncovered. Danielle would listen to their stories, laughing, and prepare the shop for their return. However, things were getting more complicated. The show was no longer just about picking items, it had become something bigger. The crew was filming almost every day of the year, and the long hours on the road were starting to take a toll on Mike and Frank. Danielle could hear the exhaustion in their voices, but they were determined to keep going. As Mike's popularity grew, so did the pressure. He opened a successful shop in Nashville, attracting crowds and making Danielle proud. Frank, on the other hand, preferred to keep a low profile in Illinois. Danielle jokingly called him the quiet star, while noticing how well their different personalities complement each other on the TV show. She managed the shop efficiently while Mike and Frank pursued their picking adventures. Danielle wasn't just a background character, she had her group of fans as well. When Danielle posted pictures on social media, her followers would shower her with compliments, saying she was the coolest. This positive feedback made all the hard work worthwhile. She would share updates from the shop, such as when Frank found a strange doll, and her fans would get excited. However, as the show became more popular, Danielle began to notice some changes. It was no longer just about picking. Now there were larger teams, more intricate plans, and the pressure of making big money. The experience started to feel less like a fun adventure and more like a job. By 2015, the cost of each episode had increased significantly to $250,000, which was a huge difference from the earlier days when things were simpler. Danielle noticed the tension rising between Mike and Frank. Mike wanted every discovery to be a big success, whereas Frank preferred to stay true to their roots. Danielle occasionally overheard their minor arguments. Mike insisted on finding valuable items for the show, stating that they needed a huge discovery, while Frank would rudely reply that he wasn't searching for TV moment. Danielle chose not to get involved, focusing instead on the shop. She enjoyed being the calm presence, the stable force that Mike and Frank could rely on when things became chaotic. So, what changed? Why did tensions begin to brew all of a sudden? Behind the scenes of American Pickers, the tension that changed everything. In 2017, Danielle Colby felt that something was wrong. Despite the success of American Pickers, there was tension building behind the scenes. The show had changed a lot. It began with just two guys going through junk, but now it had grown into a massive production. There were large teams, strict filming schedules, and a lot of money at stake. Mike Wolfe was fully committed, putting in a lot of effort to make the show even more successful. He would call Danielle from his new store in Nashville, enthusiastically discussing new discoveries and future plans. Although Danielle appreciated his enthusiasm, she could tell he was under a lot of pressure. He wanted each episode to be a success and impress the audience, which meant more work for everyone involved. Frank Fritz, Mike's partner since the beginning, was starting to change. He wasn't communicating as frequently and seemed weary when he did. Frank had been dealing with health issues, particularly Crohn's disease. His stomach problems were worsening, and even though Frank did not talk about it much, it was clear to Danielle that it was affecting him. She would ask if he was okay, but Frank would dismiss it, claiming he was just tired. He wasn't one to discuss his struggles openly, so she did not push him. However, the crew began to notice. Frank was missing more days and did not seem like his usual self when he did show up on set. Danielle began to feel anxious. Frank had always been the main attraction of the show, adding his charm and unique perspective to the picking. However, his health was starting to affect his ability to keep up with the show's fast pace. Viewers of American Pickers also started to notice Frank's absence and would inquire about his well-being. Danielle would respond with a smile, telling them that he was out picking and trying to avoid stirring up any rumors. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. When Frank finally got fed up and called Danielle upset about something Mike said, things changed. Frank felt like the show had become chaotic. Danielle listened without taking sides, trying to explain that Mike was just enthusiastic about the show's direction. Frank was not convinced and ended the conversation abruptly, leaving a rift between them. Despite feeling conflicted, Danielle kept the conversation from Mike to stay out of it. Their friendship had once been enjoyable, but now they were fighting over the show's direction. Danielle questioned if the success of American Pickers was worth the strain on her friendships. Despite facing increasing challenges off-camera, the show American Pickers kept airing. The episodes remained entertaining, featuring Mike and Frank discovering valuable items and engaging with their audience. However, Danielle was aware of the real story behind the scenes. She knew that what viewers saw on TV was not the complete reality. There were conflicts and difficulties that were cleverly edited out. While watching the episodes, she realized that there was more to the story. Despite this realization, she chose to remain silent. She was satisfied with her job at the store and preferred not to get involved in the tensions between Mike and Frank. In 2019, it was obvious that something big was coming. Frank's health kept getting worse. He started missing more episodes of the show, and the team had to rush to find replacements. Mike continued to push forward, but Danielle could see he was getting frustrated. She could hear him on the phone, wishing Frank was there. The show was running smoothly and did not slow down for anyone, not even Frank. Danielle felt the pressure building, but she couldn't do anything about it. She hoped Mike and Frank would resolve things before it got worse, but she worried it was too late. And this point was where things got messed. Soon after things got worse, Fritz left. What was his reasons? The departure of Frank Fritz. In March 2020, there was a major change for the TV show American Pickers. The show, which was loved by fans all over the country, followed Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz as they searched for rare and interesting items across the U.S. However, the show seemed to lose its true essence. Frank Fritz, who had been part of the show from the start, suddenly left, leaving a big gap. Danielle Colby, who managed the shop and had seen their friendship up close, had a feeling that something was off long before Frank's departure. It wasn't just a simple change, it marked the end of a long era. Danielle got the news from Mike himself. One night, He called her in a quiet voice, and she could sense that something serious was going on. Mike informed her that Frank was leaving. She could tell from his words that it was a heavy situation, but she did not ask for more details. Mike did not have much more to say, just that Frank wouldn't be coming back. Danielle could tell that Mike was having a tough time with the change, but she had seen it coming. It hurt, nevertheless. Frank was the heart of the team. His unique laugh, his passion for unusual finds, and his undeniable charm had all contributed to making American Pickers the show it was. It felt odd to know that the van would continue on without him. Frank revealed his side of the situation during an interview with The Sun. He confessed that he hadn't communicated with Mike for 2 years and that his health had declined. His Crohn's disease had become more severe, causing unbearable pain. Despite this, he was disappointed that Mike hadn't checked on him. However, Danielle suspected that there was more to the story. She had observed Mike adjusting shooting schedules when Frank was unwell, indicating that Frank's absence may have been due to more than just health problems. Danielle chose not to interfere in their personal issues out of respect for their privacy. She believed that if Frank wanted to talk, he would reach out. Fans were shocked by the sudden change in Mike and Frank's dynamic after watching them for years. The social media buzz began quickly with questions like, "Why did Frank leave?" and "Did Mike push him out?" Danielle chose not to fan the flames by addressing the speculation and instead focused on running the shop and sharing pictures of antiques. She felt torn between her close friendships with both Mike and Frank. Seeing how much they meant to each other made the situation even more painful. As time went by, Danielle maintained contact with Mike. Occasionally, she would inquire with a simple, "How are you?" Mike's responses were short but revealing. "We're handling it." The frustration underneath was evident, but Mike did not discuss Frank much. The situation was too sensitive for both of them, and the reality was more complex than anyone knew. Frank's Crohn's disease had caused him to be hospitalized frequently, and he had also been to rehab for alcohol in 2020. Danielle had learned about this from friends, and she understood how much Frank had been suffering. However, viewers only saw Frank's grumpy moments, struggles, and tensions on TV, not his pain. The TV show went on without Frank, and although the episodes were still fun to watch, they just did not have the same special quality. The bond between Mike and Frank, which was a big part of American Pickers, was missing. Danielle felt Frank's absence, even on his grumpy days. She could still remember his laughter, which always made the shop feel cozy. But in 2020, with the pandemic causing chaos, Danielle had to focus on running the shop day to day. She had to wear a mask and talk to fans through a glass screen to keep things running smoothly. Fans kept asking about Frank, and all Danielle could say was that he was taking a break. She did not want to lie, but she also did not want to reveal too much. The whole story wasn't hers to tell. Mike pretended to be doing well. He shared on social media about missing Frank and considered him a brother. Danielle noticed the post and agreed. Mike was sincere in his words, but Frank's feelings resonated with her. In an interview, Frank admitted feeling overlooked, like Mike was the main star and he was just tagging along. Danielle could sympathize with Frank's perspective. Mike always had grand ideas for the show, while Frank focused on smaller, quirky items that fans loved. Although Danielle did not think Mike purposely excluded Frank, she understood how Frank could feel neglected. The show had become larger than both of them, and it was apparent that Frank couldn't keep up with the changes. However, Danielle regretted not having a conversation about it. Unfortunately, that never happened. Instead, she concentrated on things she could manage. She managed the shop, kept herself occupied with dancing and personal interests, and avoided getting involved in the drama that was unfolding in the background. Their fans kept guessing. Some believed it was about money, while others thought it was due to jealousy. However, Danielle ignored the gossip. She was aware that both Mike and Frank were in pain. What used to be a representation of their friendship, the show now felt like it was missing something. Danielle Colby's game-changing post. In July 2021, Danielle Colby shocked everyone by finally speaking out after staying silent for a long time. People had been asking her questions and spreading rumors since Frank Fritz left American Pickers, and they wouldn't stop. Fans were demanding to know the truth about Frank's departure. They were pressuring Danielle to choose a side, but she did not like that. She did not want to be forced to pick sides when there was more to the situation than they realized. Danielle was fed up with always feeling pressured, so she decided to change things. She took a selfie with Mike Wolfe and posted it on Instagram. Danielle wrote a caption showing her support for Mike. This showed everyone that she was on Mike's side. Danielle wasn't finished yet. Danielle had more information to share, especially regarding Frank. She kept on typing, informing her followers that she had personally witnessed certain events. Danielle shared her sorrow over Frank's challenges, mentioning that she had observed everything happen over the past 10 years. She did not make any sensational accusations or reveal scandalous information. Instead, Danielle chose to keep her message straightforward and sincere. She expressed her deep sadness about Frank leaving the show and showed her concern for his well-being. As fans read her post, they had many questions about the struggles she mentioned. Danielle did not provide specific details because she did not want to gossip or fuel speculation. Instead, she honestly shared what she knew, mentioning that she witnessed Frank facing numerous challenges and finding it tough to cope with them. She then made a strong statement by saying that Frank caused himself a lot of pain, making it difficult to watch. These words had a powerful impact on the readers. The situation wasn't about accusing Frank or painting him as the bad guy. Danielle wasn't upset with him. She wasn't angry. She was worried. She spoke with genuine care, demonstrating her deep concern for his health. It was evident that Danielle wasn't assigning blame or passing judgment. She simply wished for his recovery after enduring many challenges. The fans were surprised. A lot of them were not aware of the gravity of Frank's problems, and some had been guessing about various things like health issues or personal troubles. Danielle's post was her way of verifying what had been talked about, but without making it sound more dramatic than it was. She clarified the purpose of her post, emphasizing that it was not meant to bring up private matters or stir up rumors. She mentioned that she was only addressing the issue because people were guessing about what she meant. She did not want people to misunderstand her silence. She was fed up with media outlets distorting her words to make a story. Danielle wanted to clarify things and share her true feelings. No gossip, no falsehoods, just her sincere thoughts. The post received reactions as expected. Some fans praised her for being genuine and honest. They liked that she did not try to cover up or hide the truth. Some fans commented that Danielle is very authentic. Others wanted to know more and urged her to share more details. However, Danielle chose not to reveal everything. She did not feel the need to disclose every aspect of her time working with Mike and Frank. She had been involved in American Pickers since the start and was aware of what had happened behind the scenes. But she believed she did not owe anyone further explanation beyond what she had already shared. So what rumors did Colby confirm after the departure of Fritz from American Pickers? The real story behind Frank Fritz's departure. In 2021, Danielle Colby made a heartfelt post, but after that, everything became quiet. However, it did not mean things were getting any easier. Frank Fritz had left the show American Pickers, and Danielle found herself watching the aftermath unfold. She stayed mostly quiet on social media, sharing updates about the shop and keeping things upbeat by posting dancing videos. However, behind the scenes, Danielle was aware of Frank's health struggles, particularly his ongoing battle with Crohn's disease. She had heard that Frank was working on improving his health, but it wasn't progressing as quickly as she had hoped. Instead of reaching out to him, she decided to give him space. All she could do was wish for his recovery. Mike Wolfe, on the other hand, was the one who kept the show going. Danielle supported him in his efforts. Sometimes he would visit the shop, tired but always smiling, saying, "We're still picking." Danielle would nod in agreement, happy to see him moving forward. As time went on, fans asked less about Frank, and Danielle's post helped quell some rumors. However, behind the scenes, she heard crew members whispering about Frank not doing well, having more hospital visits and struggles. It made Danielle sad, remembering the good times with Frank, like the day he happily brought a rusty bike into the shop. It was evident that the Frank she knew was slipping away. In 2022, something terrible happened. Frank suffered a severe stroke, and Danielle learned about it from a crew member, causing her to feel worried. Mike hurried to visit Frank immediately. Even though Danielle did not inquire about it, she could tell that Mike had been spending a lot of time with Frank, bringing souvenirs from their past picking days. She thought it was a heartfelt gesture, demonstrating Mike's continued concern for his friend, despite their lack of communication. Unfortunately, Frank's recovery was slow. The stroke left him requiring continuous assistance, and Danielle sensed that the situation was not promising. Frank's struggle ended in October 2024, when he passed away. Mike informed Danielle of this sad news, and she was deeply saddened. Mike shared that he stayed with Frank until the end, reminiscing with old photos and items to keep him company. Danielle was deeply affected by the news, as she had a long-standing relationship with Frank. She felt like a part of American Pickers was lost with his passing. She did not share the news right away, needing a day to come to terms with everything. Fans were not aware of the entire situation. They witnessed Frank leaving the show and heard about Danielle's social media post, but they were unaware of the actual events that occurred behind the scenes. Mike chose to remain silent as well, only posting a short message online about missing his friend. Danielle understood and did not want to fuel gossip, but rumors still began to circulate. Some people started to say that Mike had left Frank behind and that their friendship had been destroyed by fame. Danielle couldn't let these rumors go unchallenged. She had witnessed all the support Mike had provided to Frank and knew the truth of the situation. Months after Frank passed away, Danielle finally decided it was time to speak up. During an interview, she shared the truth without any drama or extra details. She confirmed the rumors that had been going around not because of a big fight, but because Frank's body had simply given up. She honestly discussed Frank's health struggles, mentioning that he had been in and out of hospitals 17 times in just 2 years by 2018. Mike had tried to assist by rearranging shoots and schedules, but eventually, Frank had to step away. Danielle clarified that Frank did not leave because he disliked the show, but because he was physically unable to continue. Fans listened intently as Danielle shared more. She praised Mike for his support after Frank's stroke, mentioning how he took care of everything, including paying bills, bringing Frank's belongings to the hospital, and staying by his side till the end. Danielle did not speak without knowing the facts firsthand. She acknowledged Mike's presence during the most crucial times, emphasizing that she wasn't trying to cause trouble or add to the drama. She simply wanted to set the record straight and show that Mike wasn't to blame for anything. they were just facing a difficult situation. Danielle opened up about her past, reminiscing about the early days. She remembered how Frank was quiet and good at finding hidden treasures, while Mike was a dreamer with big ideas. Together, they made a great team. Danielle fondly recalled how fame and the stress of the show caused some difficulties, but never led to hatred. The main reason they went their separate ways was because Frank's body couldn't handle it anymore. The interview may have been brief, but it had a significant effect. Danielle did not exaggerate it for attention. She was focused on the truth. She ended by saying that American Pickers was unique, a connection between two friends hunting for treasures. Thanks to Mike and Frank, this legacy will continue. Despite his sudden disappearance and later demise, the legacy of American Pickers cannot be complete without Frank Fritz. The legacy of American Pickers and Frank's memory. American Pickers is not just a TV show about collecting old items. It's a way to honor history, nostalgia, and the strong connections between the people involved in the process. Frank Fritz, with his infectious enthusiasm for picking and finding hidden treasures, was a central figure in the show. Frank's quiet charm and ability to spot valuable items helped make American Pickers successful. His partnership with Wolfe added a great balance to the show, with Mike's big personality complementing Frank's more careful approach to finding rare treasures. Viewers enjoyed watching them work together as a dynamic duo. Their strong friendship grew over many years of working together, both on and off camera. Even though Frank leaving the show created an emptiness, his impact is still powerful. His involvement in American Pickers is unforgettable. Fans recall his passion for picking, his fondness for the aged and overlooked items, and his dedicated approach to his work. Despite his health challenges being kept quiet, they did not lessen the influence he had on the show and those he interacted with. Despite the fact that Frank has passed away, his memory remains alive in each episode, every item discovered, and every interaction between the two friends. Frank's presence continues to have an impact on the show, and his memory will forever hold a special place in American Pickers and in the hearts of those who watch the show. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.